Okay, during this lesson, I'm going to be teaching you the basics of how to use a drum machine. We're going to be using that in the context of a previous project, which was our MIDI project where we recorded a 12-bar blues MIDI sequence on a keyboard into BandLab. So I'm in BandLab at the moment, and I'm going to open up that MIDI project. When I click on this, it brings up sort of an outline of the project, and you can see the waveform, but in order to edit it, I need to go into Studio over here. So I'm going to click on that one, and that will load up into BandLab Studio. You can see there's the keyboard part. There's a little picture of a grand piano there. I can see that it's 12 bars long. I'm just going to zoom in slightly. That's a bit too far. Let's come out so we can see most of it in one go. Just makes it a bit easier. There's our 12 bars. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a drum machine into this piece of music. And I'm going to do that by clicking Add Track in the top left-hand corner. And then drum machine is right there. Now, you can start off with an empty one or a basic one. It doesn't really matter. In the past, I've sort of shown students with the basic one because it brings up some stuff here already set. In fact, some of it's close to what we need already, so that's probably a good one to use. So this is our drum machine, and down the left hand side there are tiny little pictures of each component of the drum machine, but if you mouse over them it tells you what they are. This is really handy. So snare drum, useful to know. Hi-hat or closed hi-hat. We're only really dealing with closed hi-hats. There's also open hi-hat if you know how to use them. And then we've got a crash cymbal at the top. So that's pretty handy. What I'm going to set up here first is a basic rock beat. Now, if you recall from previous lessons, and I've given out handouts to my class on this, this is our basic rock beat. We've got a bass and a snare drum, and the hi-hat's sort of keeping time in groups of 4 over the top. So what we've got to do is translate that into this. And the good news is, if you've chosen the basic one, it's almost there already. There's our kick drum. Boom, kick drum. And that goes in time with the first hi-hat, which is there. This one, this open hi-hat, we don't need, so we remove that. Now, I'm going to leave a gap here, and this might seem a bit weird, but what it's doing is it's dividing each section into one beat. So that's one beat, that's the next beat in that bar, that's the third beat, and that's the fourth beat in that bar. A little bit different to this. In here, our first beat lands here, and our second beat lands where the snare drum is. So that hi-hat there is halfway through a beat. So if I look here, that's our whole beat, and this hi-hat is landing halfway through beat 1. So this hi-hat is landing halfway through beat 1, and beat 2 lands with the snare drum, which is why the snare drum is there right where it says 1.2 or bar 1, beat 2. All right, and then we should have a hi-hat, which we do. We have a hi-hat, but next we have a bass drum and a hi-hat, but in our image there's like another bass drum here, so we'll remove that. So we've got boots and cats and boots, and now this bass drum we don't need, cats, and that bass drum we don't need. So that should sound just like the basic rock beat, which you've learnt how to play. I'll play it here. Now it sounds right, although it's sort of like a hip-hoppy sort of sound. We can change our kits or drum pads over here. I generally like to change it to some sort of traditional drum kit, so I'll do that here. See what we can find. Am I in the right thing? Fusion, hard rock. Hard rock's probably a good, pretty standard kit. Much better. All right, now drum fills. So that's the basic rock beat. There's 4 bars of it there, and in here what we have is 4 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4 bars of basic rock beat. We're not going to worry about B just yet. We'll talk about that in a minute. Oops, what am I doing here? I was just trying to move that out of the way, so we're not thinking about that yet. Now we're going to go to drum fills. So remember, a fill is like a little bit that the drummer puts in at the end of a phrase to sort of make it sound more interesting. Often it's when the vocalist has finished singing and the drummer's just getting in there while there's a bit of blank space to play something a little bit more interesting. But we're going to start with this basic fill, and you'll notice we have 3 bars of pretty much basic rock beat. There's just a crash at the start. We can add that crash if we want to. So our A rhythm, we could stick a crash there instead. Alright, so now we've got a crash. 1, 2, 3 bars, but on the 4th bar there's a fill. And because that's a completely different rhythm, we're going to have to use a different pattern in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten our A pattern to just 3 bars. That's our basic rock beat. Oop, didn't mean to move that. And our crash at the start. And I'm going to use our B section to be our fill. So put that there. There's our B section. If I click on B, I can see what's in there currently. What I'm going to do is make it this really simple fill here of just a bass drum and a crash cymbal. So that means all of this stuff can come out. And I put a crash cymbal there like that. And that is now our B section, and it's added in there. And then after the fill, because these repeat with the 2 little dots tells me that's a repeat sign. So basically these things just go round and round. And that's quite common during a song. 3 bars in fill, repeat, 3 bars in fill. And if you look at charts for songs, that's often how they're structured. So what I want here is that section. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it, if I can, in here. Boom. So we go back to the A section. I've got 3 bars of A, and then I could put another B in. The other way of putting it in is, once I've got this little white line up, I can click B. There's our B section, and I can click Add B. Rather than the copy and paste, that should put it in. There it goes. You can put it in that way as well. Either one works. So move our little white thing. I want a pattern A. Add A. There it is. It's not long enough. Let's make it 3 bars long. And let's do a new fill this time. So this one's going to be fill C, or pattern C. And let's do this one. So we've got snares, high toms, mid toms, low toms. So on here I need to find the snare. High tom, snare, snare. And these are devised into beats. So all the ones connected, this is why they're grouped together. All the ones grouped together there are in beat 1. All the ones grouped together there are in beat 2, beat 3, and beat 4. So now I need 4 high toms. Find the high tom. There it is. 4 of those. Then I've got a mid tom. It's got a middle sort of sound. And then our low tom. I'll just play that. Alright, I won't go round and round like that, but it'll play it once. Add C. Boom. And now I can play my whole pattern. So if we go back to the start, here we go. And that's it. And I should mention, you can speed this up by clicking that little, that's beats per minute. You can move this up or down to speed it up and slow it down. I can go really slow. I can speed it up to make it stupidly fast if I want, just for fun. Boom. There. I can turn a metronome on and off, which is my timekeeper, which I don't really need for this because this does the timekeeping for me. instruments playing there. All right, now to submit your projects, what I want you to do is invite me as a collaborator so that I can see all of this. It's no good if I've just got the sound. So to submit it, what you need to do is click the invite link here. Invite others. So you're going to hit copy link, copy to clipboard, and then you just paste that into your submission so that I can see it later. And that's all you need to do. Enjoy.